Video is about if you if you're dealing with spiritual contamination. See, at the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, what God did in Genesis was the law of separation in the beginning of the Bible. He separated the waters from the waters. He separated the water from the land, heaven from the earth. So at the beginning of the Bible is the law of separation. And I believe that at the beginning of the Bible, it shows the law of separation because it's the difference of good and evil, spirit and the flesh. If you get it, it's the law of separation. Okay, so if you at a place right now where you in spiritual contamination, it's dealing with the laws of separation. What I mean by that is, it's two things that you need to do if you're dealing with spiritual contamination. And one of those things is you need to separate. And the other one is surrender. If you're dealing with spiritual contamination, the first thing, like I said, is separate. You need to separate from people. You need to separate from the internet. What I mean by people is people that's telling you not to believe what the Bible says. It's people that's telling you not to walk in your calling. And the same people that's telling you what you shouldn't be doing is the same people that's not living anything. They don't believe nothing. So you need to separate from people that's telling you what you should and shouldn't believe, and they don't believe anything. And what I mean by surrender is you need to surrender your will to God. My pastor been talking about saying, God, it's not my will, it's your will. And if you're dealing with this spiritual contamination, it's probably because you haven't fully surrendered your will to God. You surrendered some of the things that you want to give to God, but you haven't surrendered everything. You separated from some of the people that you need to separate from, but you haven't separated from everybody that you need to disconnect from. And it's the people that you haven't separated from that's contaminating your spirit. It's the things that you haven't surrendered from that's contaminating your spirit. See, we think we could surrender to certain things. With God is not a, what am I trying to say? With God is not a, how I want to do it, when I want to do things. See, we got this thing messed up with God, and we think we can let go of things when we want to, and we can hold on to the other things that we don't want to let go of. But I want to make this video today because I believe that a lot of us are dealing with spiritual contamination. I believe we're dealing with it because we haven't separated and we haven't surrendered fully. Like I said before, I believe that we're separating. I believe that we're separated to a certain extent. I believe that we're surrendered to a certain extent. And you're never going to get over that hump, as people would say. You're never going to get over as to the finish line, as they've been preaching at my church lately. Don't give up. Don't quit. You're never going to get over there to that other side if you don't surrender and you don't separate away from the things that God has called you away from.